The most important gift I think we can give one another will cost. It'll cost you some time, becoming more self-aware. It may cause you to stretch, is to really learn to profoundly listen to the people that you care about and love, or want to care about and want to love. Listening is so much more important than speaking. But to actually deeply listen to somebody takes a lot of skill. I know it takes a lot of skill because I've been practicing it a long time, and I still screw up. I still forget. I still forget how important it is. I've done a little bit of research lately about the loneliness epidemic in the United States. And it's been increasing since the 1950s. People don't spend as much time with friends as they used to before the advent of television. We're spending now, as a result of not only the television in the 50s, but the institution of these miraculous screens and these compelling and unfortunately highly addictive handheld devices, and these multiple ways of putting oneself out there in the world called social media. The amount of time that people are spending with other people, with friends, has gone down dramatically. It's been reduced by 4 hours a week since the 2000s, early 2000s, with the advent not only in the 50s of the television, which kept people indoors with their families, but actually looking at a screen rather than facing each other, not face to face with each other, but all looking at a screen, not around a dinner table. It's caused less face to face even within the home, but then people are spending more time with screens and not out with friends. We've lost some innate ability to be with people in a more intimate way, because face-to-face automatically is more intimate than shoulder-to-shoulder watching a common story. It's not uncommon to walk into a coffee shop and see a group of people sitting around a table and they're all looking at their cell phones and not talking with each other, or a little bit, but then they're back to their cell phones again, and they don't even notice that there's a group of people around them. So things have radically changed over the last 70 years. And I think people have lost a natural facility for being intimate with other people. Intimate being oneself, showing up and telling one's own experience to other people face to face. And over that time, the professions of psychotherapy and social work and psychology and psychiatry have gotten huge, because people need to have other people really listen to them. And all the people in those categories that are really good at what they do, they tend to be well above average in their capacity to listen. But I don't think this is a good thing, that listening has become a professional activity instead of a very ubiquitous, everyday practice for people to be engaged in. I think making it a profession has been essential. People probably would have been in much worse shape without at least somebody to listen to them. But I don't think it's the healthiest course for us, either as individuals or for our culture or our civilization to be relying on professionals to do what we have the innate capacity to do. Because the reality is, it enriches the other person hugely. When people feel deeply listened to, they relax, they feel safe, they bond, they feel like they belong somewhere. And all of that is really good for mental health and physical health. But it's also good for the listener because the listener feels connected and valuable. You can see on a person's face when you listen really carefully to them and you really, really get it. Not just I hear you, but that you really understand them, relate to what they're talking about from your own experience of being human. There's a fulfilling thing that happens for the people who learn to really do listen. The more fulfilled we are, the less anxious we are, the less we're subject, the less vulnerable we are to distraction from our feelings of loneliness, which is a lot of what happens with addiction. It ends up being a poor substitute. Many years ago, I heard this great thing. It was about addiction, and it goes like this: you can never get enough of what it is you don't really want. I'll say it again: you can never get enough of what it is you don't really want, but you keep trying. So that's what most addiction is about. Addiction is rampant in our culture, not only substance addiction, but workaholism and addiction to entertainment, addiction to social media, addiction to this sort of false sense of power that comes with being able to search something online and know the answer. It's like the answer to what? To some kind of meaningless question you have about who was president in 1950. It may be really helpful for researchers, but to be able to get information gives people a false sense of power and mastery and control, when what we really need is a sense that we have self-control and that we're valuable to other people as people, just being who we are, that we're valuable. So listening is that thing that helps connect people. And it gives them both a sense of belonging. And that's the third rung on Maslow's hierarchy. And having had that subverted by a culture of distraction and entertainment, and having devices substituting for the real life experience of sitting with another human being or with other human beings and feeling deeply connected and belonging. There's no substitute, but we keep trying. More clicks, more finding the right thing, more on Facebook or Instagram, or choose your electronic poison. Too much of that and not enough of this. Not enough of this. We all need this. And so I'm going to do one or more videos, and I'm going to tell you everything I know about my 40 years of experience in learning to listen deeply to people. It's not rocket science, and it's demanding. It demands putting away the screens. It demands reflecting and having self-knowledge, knowing what's going on inside oneself, so as to be able to actually and effectively take in someone else's experience and to make it safe for them to really share their experience. Because I think we've lost over, as a culture over 50 years, and then certainly over the last few years of all the social isolation, we've lost the ability to be comfortable with more eye-to-eye intimacy. And everybody thinks it's just them, but it's not. It's so widespread. People are not getting their needs met. And we can change that. I believe you can change that for yourself, not in a few days, but I think with practice over the course of a couple of weeks, it'll get way better if you really practice. So instead of taking on, or maybe in addition to taking on, what can be very, very important spiritual practice, whether it's prayer or meditation, this is like meditating with another person. It's like really getting clear and calm and focused and relaxed and loving with another person, so that then they can open up and let you see how beautiful they are. They don't know. We don't know how beautiful we are because we don't expose ourselves to what could be the shaming or ignoring that could happen. It's risky. So we have to build that ability to make it safe for other people to share themselves. I've never found anybody who has shared themselves deeply that don't show up and end up being really beautiful. So I'm advocating for developing listening skills, for coming right there in the moment with other people. And there are very learnable processes and skills that you can practice to do a better job of that. And it can transform things. And I think we're at a time in human history where just having a professional class of listeners is not sufficient. It needs to permeate. It needs to become something that we do on a daily basis with the people around us, and that we do with people that we want to be closer to, and that we do even in the workplace, where don't necessarily share the whole history. There's not time for that, but just sharing moments of personal intimacy or personal connection, and then sharing work together. Like, what do you really think of that? And how are you feeling about that project? And are you nervous? And there have been layoffs. Are you worrying? And what are you worrying about? And being able to share that with other people can help everybody calm down and think more clearly and do a better job. So it's kind of across the board. I hope this is interesting, and decide this is part of the journey you want to take.